If you are watching this, I need you to understand that you are running out of time and you do not even feel it yet. That is the worst part. I need you to hear me right now because what I am about to tell you is something I watched go wrong for thousands of people over 26 years. And not a single one of them saw it coming until it was too late. I am 89 years old. My name is Pearl Satterfield, and I spent 26 years behind the customer service and returns desk at a Walmart in Jasper, Alabama. I was not a doctor. I was not a therapist. I was not a professor at some university. I was the woman in the blue vest who took back your stuff and gave you your money. And I am telling you right now, that counter taught me more about what happens to people in their 50s than any book or sermon or degree ever could. Because people lie. They lie to their husbands and their wives. They lie to their kids. They lie to their preachers and their doctors and their friends. But they do not lie to the returns desk. You cannot fake a return. You bought it, it did not work out, and now you are standing in front of me with a bag and a receipt trying to undo a decision you already made. And when I started paying attention to who was bringing what back and why, I started seeing patterns that I wish someone had told me about before I hit 50 myself. Let me tell you what I saw. I saw the exercise equipment. Lord, the exercise equipment. Treadmills, stationary bikes, resistance bands, yoga mats, those big rubber balls you were supposed to sit on. They came in waves every January like clockwork. But the people buying them in their 50s were different from the 20-year-olds. The 20-year-olds bought cheap stuff and used it until it broke. The 50-year-olds bought expensive stuff and brought it back in 8 weeks still in the packaging. Some of them had not even opened the box, and the look on their faces when they set it on my counter was not embarrassment about wasting money. It was something worse. It was defeat, like they had already decided their body was a lost cause, and the treadmill just confirmed it. I watched a woman named Diane bring back the same brand of exercise bike 3 separate times over 4 years. 3 times she bought it, 3 times she returned it, and the 3rd time she set it on my counter. She looked at me and she said, "I do not know why I keep thinking this time is going to be different." And I wanted to say, "Honey, the bike is not the problem." But that was not my job. My job was to scan the receipt and process the return and say, "Do you want that back on your card or in cash?" So that is what I did. But I never forgot her face. I think about Diane sometimes. I hope she is okay. I hope she finally figured out that it was not about the bike. It was about the fact that she had spent 20 years putting everyone else's body before her own. Her kids, her husband, her mother, and by the time she looked in the mirror and decided it was her turn, she did not believe she deserved the effort. That is what I want to talk to you about if you are in your 50s right now. Not exercise equipment. I want to talk about the lie you have been telling yourself that there is still plenty of time. Because I watched that lie ruin people from 6 feet away across a counter for over 2 decades. And the 50s are where the lie starts to curdle. Here is what I mean. Your 20s and 30s are noisy. You are building things: career, family, house, reputation. Everything is motion. You do not have time to stop and look at what you are actually building because you are too busy building it. Your 40s, things start to quiet down a little. The kids get older. The job gets routine. You start to notice things you have been ignoring, but you push them down because the momentum is still carrying you forward. Then you hit 50, and the momentum stops. Not all at once, but enough that you feel it. Enough that the quiet gets louder. And that is when people start shopping for things to fill the silence. I know this because I watched it happen. Not just with exercise equipment, with everything. I had a man come in. I would say he was about 53, 54, and he was returning a beginner guitar kit. The kind with the little instruction book, and the tuner, and the picks all in one box. And I asked him the standard question: was there something wrong with the product? And he said, "No, nothing wrong with it. I just do not have the patience I thought I had." I looked at his hands. They were working hands. Rough. He had not even tried to play that guitar. The strings were still factory tight. What he really did not have was not patience. It was permission. He did not give himself permission to be bad at something new. Because when you are 50, you feel like you are supposed to be an expert at your life by now. You are supposed to have it figured out. And sitting in your living room plunking out a terrible version of some song while your wife watches from the kitchen feels like a confession that you do not have it figured out at all. I want to tell you something, and I want you to really hear it. Your 50s are not too late, but they are the last time your body and your mind and your circumstances are going to line up and give you a real window to change the things that need changing. I watched people in their 60s come through my line, and they were not returning exercise bikes anymore. They were returning heating pads, knee braces, pill organizers. The window had closed. Not all the way, but enough that the options got smaller. The 50s are the door, and I watched hundreds of people stand in front of that door with a bag full of returns, instead of walking through it. Now let me tell you about the gifts. This was the one that broke my heart more than anything else I saw in 26 years behind that counter. People in their 50s started returning gifts. Not gifts that were the wrong size or the wrong color, gifts that were never given. I had a woman come in 4 days after Christmas, returning a beautiful scarf still in the gift box with the tissue paper and the little card still tucked inside. She had written on the card, but then crossed it out. And when I processed the return, I could see through the scratch marks what she had written. It said, "To my daughter, love, Mom." And I did not ask. You learn not to ask. But she told me anyway. She said her daughter was not speaking to her and had not been for 2 years, and she had bought the scarf hoping this would be the Christmas that changed. And it was not. I saw that more times than I can count. Parents returning gifts meant for adult children who had cut them off. Wives returning anniversary presents for husbands who forgot. Husbands returning jewelry they bought out of guilt after something I did not want to know about. The returns desk was a graveyard of failed connections, and the people in their 50s were the ones filling it up. You want to know why? Because the 50s are when the bill comes due on every relationship you neglected while you were busy being busy. Your kids are old enough now to decide whether they want you in their life. Your spouse has been keeping a quiet tally that you did not even know existed. Your friends, the real ones, have either stuck around because you invested in them or drifted away because you kept saying, "We should get together soon," and never meant it. I see you right now, and I know what you are doing. You are reading this and thinking, "Well, that is sad, but that is not me. My relationships are fine." And maybe they are. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you asked your adult child a question about their life and then actually listened to the answer without turning it into advice? When was the last time you sat with your spouse and talked about something that was not logistics? Not who is picking up what, or what time is the appointment, or did you pay that bill? I mean really talked. About what scares you. About what you want from the next 30 years. About whether you are happy. If you cannot remember, then you are the person I am talking about. And you still have time, but not as much as you think. I want to tell you something about money, because I saw this too. People in their 50s returned things they could not afford. Expensive things. I'm talking about big televisions, computers, fancy kitchen appliances. And they were not returning them because they did not want them. They were returning them because the credit card statement came and reality hit. I watched people spend money they did not have on things they did not need to impress people they did not even like. And the 50s are when that game stops being fun and starts being frightening. Because retirement is no longer some abstract concept floating around in the distance. It is 15 years away, maybe 12, maybe 10. And you look at your savings and you feel something cold in your stomach. I never made more than $14.60 an hour my entire time at Walmart. Earl and I raised 3 kids on that and his mining pay. We did not have much, but I will tell you what we did have. We had a paid-off house. We had no debt. We had a garden that fed us half the year, and neighbors who traded what they grew for what we grew. We had a life that did not require a credit card to feel complete. And I watched people making 5 times what I made come to my counter sweating because they could not afford to keep what they bought. The 50s are when you need to get honest with yourself about money. Not in a punishing way, not in a way that makes you feel like a failure, but in a way that says, okay, what do I actually need to feel safe? And what have I been buying to feel something else? Because those are 2 very different lists. Now I want to talk about the hardest thing, and this is the one that kept me up at night long after my shifts ended. I watched people in their 50s return things that represented who they used to be. A man returning camping gear he had not used in 10 years. A woman returning oil paints and canvases because she had not made anything since her kids were born. A couple returning a tandem bicycle they bought in a burst of, "We should do things together again," and then left in the garage for 6 months. These were not products being returned. These were identities being surrendered. People in their 50s slowly giving up on the version of themselves they used to be. The adventurous one, the creative one, the spontaneous one, and accepting a smaller, quieter version that just goes to work and comes home and watches television and waits for the weekend. And I'm going to be direct with you because I am 89 years old, and I do not have the time or the interest in being polite about this. If you are in your 50s and you have stopped doing the things that used to make you feel alive, you are not being practical. You are not being mature. You are dying slowly and calling it growing up. I watched it happen. I processed the returns. I scanned the receipts. I saw what people gave up on, and I saw what it did to their faces over the years. The light goes out. Not all at once, but it goes. My husband Earl, God rest him, he kept fishing until he physically could not walk to the pond anymore. He was 78 years old, and I had to drive him down the dirt road and help him into his chair by the water. But he was still casting that line. He never returned the fishing rod. And when he died, the thing I kept was not his wedding ring. It was that rod, because it meant he never gave up on the part of himself that loved being alive. I'm going to tell you what actually matters in your 50s, because I have been watching and waiting and thinking about this for a very long time. Your body matters, not the way it looks, the way it works, the way it carries you from the bed to the kitchen, to the car, to the job and back again. You have been ignoring it, and it has been patient with you, but that patience is ending. Move it. Feed it something that did not come out of a box. Go to the doctor and stop canceling the appointments you are afraid of. The things they find early are the things they can fix. The things you ignore are the things that bury you. Your people matter, not your network, not your contacts, not the people you nod at in the hallway at work. I mean the people who would sit with you in a hospital room at 3 in the morning. If you cannot name at least 2 or 3 of those people right now, you have work to do. And that work is not sending a text message. It is showing up. It is calling when you do not need anything. It is saying the honest thing instead of the easy thing. It is apologizing to your kid for the thing you did 10 years ago that you pretend they forgot about. They did not forget. They never forget. Your money matters, but not the way you think. It is not about having a lot. It is about not being owned by what you owe. I watched people who made good money live in terror because every dollar was already spoken for before it hit their account. And I watched people who made very little live with a peace that comes from knowing that whatever happens, the lights stay on and there is food in the pantry. Get out of debt. I do not care how you do it. Sell the thing you do not need. Cancel the subscription you forgot about. Stop eating out 4 times a week. Do whatever it takes to get to a place where you owe nobody nothing. That is freedom. Everything else is decoration. Your time matters, and you have less of it than you think. I am not trying to scare you. I am trying to wake you up. I have buried my husband, 2 of my closest friends, and my older sister. None of them thought they were running out of time. None of them got a warning. One day they were here, and then they were not. And every single one of them had something they were going to do next year. Next year never came. And finally, you matter. Not the version of you that performs for the office or the neighborhood or the family reunion, the real one. The one who wanted to learn guitar but was afraid to be bad at it. The one who wanted to travel but kept saying it was not practical. The one who wanted to tell someone the truth but swallowed it down so many times it became a stone in your chest. I stood behind that counter for 26 years, and I watched people bring back pieces of themselves still in the original packaging, unopened, unused. And every single time I wanted to lean across that counter and say, "Honey, this is the one thing you cannot return. This is the one thing that does not come with a receipt. You do not get your time back. You do not get a refund on the years you spent being afraid." I am 89 years old. I made $14.60 an hour. I am nobody important, but I saw everything. And I am telling you right now, If you are in your 50s, this is it. This is your window. Do not bring it back to the counter in the box. Open it. Use it. Wear it out until there is nothing left to return. That is what actually matters.